What's up, everybody? I want to make a really quick video today doing another little tutorial here, and this is going to be how to call functions on a contract from another contract, right? So I have contract A and then it wants to call a function on contract B. So by default I have a remix workspace here, not a whole lot going on. I'm going to go ahead and make a new file. I'm going to go ahead and call this contract1.sol, and then I'm going to make another one here. I'm going to call this contract2.sol. Now, just to save time here, I'm going to go ahead and copy. Let's copy this one because it's very simple here. And I'm going to paste this in both contract 1 and contract 2. So we have contract 1, and that's fine. No need for a warning. And if you're not familiar with this contract, this is one of the most basic Solidity contracts there are. And all that you're doing is you're storing a number in storage here, right? So you have a number, you're calling a function to store that number, and then there's another function to retrieve that number back. I'm going to go ahead and add one more number here. Function, we're going to call this add1. It's going to be a public, and this is going to return a uint 256, and this is going to take whatever number is currently being stored, and it's going to be plus equal to 1. So we're going to add 1 to this number here, and it doesn't like that. Why not? Oh, I'm sorry, we need to return the number. Cool. And it still doesn't like that. Again, sometimes this workspace is a little funky here. Returns. Sometimes my typing's a little funky too. Half the time it's the workspace, half the time it's me. Actually, most of the time it's me. Anyways, from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and deploy this contract from here. And now we have this contract right here. Again, very simple. We can store, let's store, I don't know, the number 50. We can go and retrieve that number 50 if we add 1 to it. Now it should be 51. Pretty simple there. Now let's say that this contract was storing some type of secret number. Maybe this was out of my hands. Maybe a different developer deployed this contract to the network. And then on my contract, contract 2 here, I want to be able to reference that number. I want to be able to call a function on that number from here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all this here. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this from here. I'm going to go ahead and remove all this stuff here so we're not confused. And I'm going to rename this to, let's just call it contract 2. Now we do need this contract right here. We need kind of the code of this contract. So I'm going to say import contract1.sol. And this is important because the ABI and the bytecode needs to be able to reference what this code is in this contract from here. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up a few functions here. I'm going to set up a constructor function, and then above this constructor function, I'm also going to create a variable, and this is going to be called storage. We're going to make it public, and let's just call it store for right now. Okay, so we have a reference to this variable here. We're creating an instance of this particular contract, but it's not set to an address. So what I want to do on the constructor function, and of course right now this is going to be hard coded, but you could take it in as an argument. You could also make another function to set the address of this from here, but we're going to say store is equal to storage at, go down to our deployed contracts, copy this, and then paste that right there. So now it's a reference to this contract at this address here. So not just any contract, it's a reference to this particular contract stored at this address. Now let's go ahead and make a function. We'll call it getNumber, and we're going to return a uint 256, and then we're going to say store dot getNumber. Retrieve is the name of this function here. And then we want to store the result of this in a variable, or we could just return it right from here because we're going to be returning this number, which is going to kind of get passed in the return function of this number. Let's do one more here. Let's say function. And we're going to say add 1 to number. And then same deal, let's return a uint 256. And we're going to return store.add, what do we call it? Add 1 right there. Cool. Now we're going to go ahead and deploy this here. Let's go ahead and save this. And it does not like that from there. I might have to make this, let's make this public. I forgot to add the public keyword in there. Go ahead and save that. Cool. This can be restricted to a view. Fantastic. And now let's go ahead and deploy this from here. So we're going to go ahead and deploy contract 2. Looking good. Now we're going to collapse the original storage. Remember the number that we had before was 51. What we can do now on 52 is we can get that number and we're getting 51 back. So we're reaching into this initial contract from here and we're pulling out that number. And we can also modify it too, right? If we add one to this here and then we get that number, now we have 52. And then if we go back to the original contract from here, we can retrieve the new number 52. So I can modify this original contract from my new contract from here. All right. If that was well, hopefully that was helpful to you guys. If you guys learned something, be sure to give me a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take it easy.